Cheers.
Cheers. Cool. Tender Crop Farm.
What better way to start a health and wellness episode than by indulging in some sweet, sweet honey?
With the Mahoneys.
Mahoneys. Mahoneys. Mahoneys.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the first 3 episodes, even though one was a 2-parter about our story because we just talked for so long.
I'm timing us this time.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more you could tell more about our story. And again, if you're a friend or family member, you think we left anything out, let us know. But yeah, it was a long episode. We broke into 2 parts, but a lot of people have voted on, they want to know our health and wellness choices, which is kind of cool. We are not health and fitness influencers by any means. So let's just frame it off and start with that. We're not medical doctors, although I will say that maybe you should be questioning a lot of medical doctor advice, but that's neither here nor there. We're not fitness professionals. We don't have any fitness professional companies or anything like that. But I think our health choices are ones that our friends and family have been curious about over the years. We get a lot of questions about it because we go a little bit outside of the norm of the standard American diet and other food choices. Would you agree, babe?
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, everything today is about our choices, the way we see things with how we want to live day to day, that we take as a family, individually, what we want our son Roman and our future children to be thinking about with food choices. And I'm just going to give a little framework regarding me because I like transparency, guys. There are a lot of fitness influencers and influencers in general out there who just aren't transparent about their health. So real quick about me, I am working with a company called Elevation. Brad Clifford is the founder and the CEO of the company. We've been with him since, say, mid-2022. And it was because of a lot of biological factors that I just knew I couldn't get help with on my own through normal food and diet supplementation, right? One of the things we'll talk about today is with our food choices, there's a lot of toxins in our environment, a lot of, chemicals that big food companies, big pharma, they put into our foods. And so you have to be aware of those things and then what supplements you can use or potential peptides, if they're right for you, to help your body. And around 2022, when I knew I wanted children, I was researching things about fertility rates and testosterone. So when I got those tested, both of them were extremely low for me because I played years of college football, college football, boxing, so a lot of hits to the head, plus years of drinking alcohol, marijuana use, all these different behavior choices that added up to where my pituitary gland just wasn't working well for me. So that's all to say that, and since 2022, I've been with, again, Brad Clifford, Elevation Health, who's been helping me on the biological side. I don't do testosterone replacement because obviously that would not help with me with my fertility. Everything we've done has been bioengineered specifically for me. Some of the peptides I'm on is something like NAD. I'm on TB500, BPC 157. These are mostly just be healing with my shoulder, glutathione, and some other supplements to help again with my fertility. Brad Clifford, Elevation Health, thank you so much because I really believe that if it wasn't for that decision, we may not have had conceived Roman the way we did because my fertility was that low. Anyway, I wanted to give that transparency of part of my health choices is working with a company that checks out my biomarkers and my blood panels at that level. And Brielle is not working with Elevation Health yet. I'm going to be making sure that happens in the future, though. And we want to be transparent about everything that we're doing from a day-to-day health perspective because it does affect our kids or our generations and something that people that we're curious about, I guess, which is interesting.
Also, we're not sponsored by anybody yet, so everything and all the products and everything we're mentioning, we actually really love and we take every single day, and it's like actually serious.
Yeah, so, from supplements. Again, I'm a client of Elevation Health. They're not paying me to do any of that thing. Brad Clifford's a great friend of mine. So to Brielle's point, everything that we're going to talk about today, if we talk about supplements, it's just because we think the product is good and we've done a lot of research on the product and we believe that it's beneficial for us. So Anyway, we got a lot of questions. Babe, you want to bring up those questions?
Yeah, I have a few questions that have been asked.
And we're just kind of going to go round for round and answer these questions the best we can and give
Yeah.
you a little glimpse into our health and wellness choices.
All right. So the first one, what did your health look like before and what changed?
Just real quick, when we said before when, so I understand.
Before, well, that's why I wanted to ask this one first.
Okay.
I guess this could be one whole question. So it's what got you interested in your health and what changed? What did your health look like before you were interested in your health and what has changed since then?
Okay. I'll give a little bit of framework. I said this before. I'm 39 years old. I would say around like 28 years old, I started to make health conscientious decisions. When I was growing up, it was just kind of like eat whatever was put in front of you. And
Same.
it's a little unfair to say that my parents, because both of my parents actually did the best they could with the resources they had available to them. And it's not like me or my sisters or my family members were obese by any means. But I wouldn't say that we were true health conscientious the way that we are now. And even my parents have evolved a lot with their health decisions and their health awareness. So I would say around in college, I was terrible with health choices, truly terrible. If I saw myself in college eating what I eat now, it makes me throw up to think about. Around 28, though, I started to realize that just all the choices that I had been starting to, excuse me, all the results of my life, right? Whether it be tired with my energy, whether it be angry, just emotional, it had a lot to do with the things I was putting in my body, whether it be food or behavior choices. So that's when I started to become aware and do research around food. I wouldn't say I actually made a decision, right? Because there's things about being aware and then actually deciding to change something until I was like probably 32. So about 7 years ago, when I started to realize that most of my food choices were eating the standard American diet because that's all I really been told to eat. Processed foods mostly, a lot of foods that had, what, 6 or 7 names on the brand and what they make up.
Lots of ingredients and the words you can't even pronounce.
Yeah. And so when I made that decision to shift into more organic foods, grass fed red meat, and then just whole nutrition, vegetables and fruit. It actually sounds kind of simple, but I understand it's also very challenging, guys, from an economic standpoint, right? That's where my heart and my empathy does go out to many of our country because you're going to eat what's in your environment mostly. And if you're in your environment, if you're in a lower economic environment, unfortunately, most of your environment, you go to these grocery stores and they just don't have good options, right? You go to a middle America,
Or
and
they're labeled something that they actually really aren't.
exactly. That's another big thing. We go down that rabbit hole all day of the Food
Oh
Drug
my gosh, we can go
Administration
all day long with that one.
of them just changing words, right? So they can fall into, oh, it's organic or it's healthy for you. The word healthy has been abused so much in marketing, but that's where I do have empathy for a lot of people who are doing the best they can with the resources they have available to them around food. Because you go to middle America, lower economic parts of America, and it's just like you go a couple to your grocery store, it's just crap. It's a lot of crap. And so you need food as resources, so you're going to eat what's in front of you. For me, I feel very blessed that I've been able to uh, make the food choices I have from an economic standpoint. And having that awareness is big. I do think something that's available for anyone in 2026, because most of us have iPhones or a smartphone in general, is that you can become aware. You can start to do your own research. You can start to look at your own results in your life and become aware of the decisions that you're making. And so when I started to become aware of the food that was putting into my body, it wasn't overnight. Nothing's overnight, right? But you start to slowly make the decisions and you start to test things and you start to feel how it works with your body. And there's different seasons of foods and the way that I was eating foods. For example, right now it's summertime. I'm in more of a cutting phase, so I'm eating foods that are more leaner, and more of the winter
You're going
phase or
into a whole
bulking.
other question, by the way.
Was there a question for that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I won't get too far off, but I mean, I would say it's a part of it because the seasons of your life. Also, when I was making those decisions back when I started become like before,
Huh?
all I cared about was putting muscle on, right? So that season of my life where I was like, I'm just bulking, I'm just
Okay,
taking
but
like 10,000 calories a
what
day.
was the one thing, if you had to choose one thing in the past that was like the changing point of, hey, I need to freaking pay attention to my health? What was it?
I would say the biggest thing was around protein, right? And the protein sources and how animals are raised in this country versus cattle, excuse me, like organic naturally, how they're pasture raised versus how they're just some animals are corn fed, and just like that cattle industry sucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then after that, what did you do about it?
Well, I found ranchers locally. At that time, I was living in Colorado, so I found some ranchers out there. I had some friends who were ranchers up in the Utah and Idaho area, and I just asked them questions about how they raised their meat and how they did it, even how they killed their meat, how they take care of the animals, and how they kill the animals is a really big thing. And it started to connect me actually deeper to nature and the process of food when I became more aware of it.
Was it a night and day difference than when you when you changed the way that you ate or did things after you asked these questions? Like, did you just start buying different meats?
Um, that's a good question. Night and day difference, I wouldn't say showed up until I would say about like 2 to 3 weeks, because your body does take a while to flush out all the decisions that you've been working on, right? And so there was also other decisions with my food health that I wasn't even aware of that was still combating even my quote unquote new good decisions. But I would say from an energy standpoint, and if you look guys at a grass fed ribeye versus a corn fed ribeye and ground beef, like they're just the meat looks completely different.
Well, oh my gosh, and the taste though,
The
so different.
taste is different, the nutrients are different, our body breaks down the animal differently from a mineral standpoint.
Yeah, and it cooks differently too, I think.
Cooks better. I mean, there's so many different things that go with it. So I wouldn't say there's a night and day difference for me, but over like I'd say a couple month period, my body just craved anything that was organic, and the old choices of cattle, excuse me, corn fed cattle, and then middle aisle foods, my body would just naturally reject it, and I could feel a difference in my brain fog if I was choosing those foods still.
I am curious. This wasn't one of the questions. Before you had a healthier lifestyle, like what was one food that you would reach for in the grocery store? Was it chips or cake
Before I had a
or
healthier lifestyle,
something? Yeah, before, like if you just went to the grocery store and you wanted a snack, like what, or anything, what would be one thing that you would gravitate towards?
that's an interesting question. I don't even know if I really remember. But, oh, how about this? I used to love um, beef jerky, which I know is still along the same
You
lines.
still like, yeah, you still like beef jerky.
But the beef jerky that I used to buy, it was just basically plastic. Like there was like plastic beef jerky out there, just
Yikes.
terribly made. But it was also from an economic standpoint where I was broke, so I was just buying that. Sugary sweets, is that what you're talking about?
No, just anything, really, anything. Yeah.
Um,
And if there's not anything, then okay.
yeah, I don't think there's one thing that I would gravitate towards. No, so just crappy beef jerky.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
What
Nice.
about for you? When did you make your shift, babe?
Yeah, I feel like
Also very far away again.
I know, but I'm seeing that I'm hitting the mark there.
Okay.
I feel like it's kind of a blur in the sense of I didn't really pay close attention to when I made the shift, but I do remember how my lifestyle like changed just day to day. So before I wasn't the same. I was the same way. I would just eat what my parents would give me. My father was a what, I'm forgetting the word.
Bodybuilder.
Thank you.
Tony.
He did a lot of research on nutrition, food, and so he did teach us the importance of protein packed meals, and they did give us a good variety of food as well. With that being said, we also had a lot of snacking. Like our biggest thing was dessert and snacks. We did not go a day without having dessert after dinner, essentially. And we thought that was normal until I met you, and my siblings also met their spouses when they're like, "What? That's not a normal thing." But yeah, so we went our days with snacking and
I mean, I think it's normal to some kind of families for sure, though.
yeah, some kind of found. For us, like I said, I thought it was a normal thing and everybody did that. So then growing up, again, I didn't really care. I got to the point though where I was not feeling good no matter what I ate. And it was actually better, well, for me, I felt better when I would just eat less. So I would go some days eating one fruit cup a day. That's really bad.
Like a prepackaged fruit cup.
Like a fruit cup a day. Like those, you know, the,
So a prepackaged fruit cup.
yeah, like one of those with the, in the water or whatever.
Yeah.
That's bad. And if I ate more than that, sometimes I'd just feel like crap and sloggy and whatever. So I would kind of like stick to that. Um, I now know that's really bad, but I just was like, well, I feel better, so I'm going to do that. I went to college. Oh, I went to college and I had a nutrition dance conditioning class, and they were showing us pictures of ballet dancers that had anorexia, and they were telling us that this was wrong, not healthy. And I was looking at pictures and I was like, I actually think that looks really cool, like really good.
The anorexia.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's when I was like, okay, you're telling me this is an eating disorder, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's kind of like a goal of mine of to look. There's a problem there. So after that, that's when I really decided to pay more attention to what I was eating. Now, I didn't know what good things to necessarily eat, but with going through some more dance conditioning classes, I had another professor who would teach us about something called PFC. It's protein, fat, and carb, and the right amounts. And after that, when I started implementing that in my life, so I would say it was college too, I started feeling better. I started snacking less, and I started just gaining more muscle because at that point I was having a really hard time building and gaining muscle. You can imagine why. Um, but then I would just like go throughout creating these meal plans that made me feel a lot better. Since then, I mean, meeting you and like going throughout and speaking with other people, I've learned a lot more. Now you've done a lot more research than I have, and I actually really appreciate the research you've done because it is very backed up by a lot of research. So I believe you. But anyways, now I know the importance of eating healthier, better, and a lot more. I would never have guessed to eat more protein than not before. Before I would be like, more protein? That's so gonna make me fat. But no. Yeah.
It also depends on the quality of protein. I think it's the one thing that I have brought up with you many times is, and that's something that you don't know what you don't know, right? You think that like, oh, I'm eating these protein bars, right? But if there's 7 other ingredients in there that you can't pronounce, and they have all these other chemicals in there, it matters what kind of protein you get. And then if you want to take it from a vegetarian or a vegan diet, just gram for gram, pound for pound, it is hard. It's really challenging to get the amount of protein you need from, let's say, if you want to just eat beans or kale, because people can be like, oh, you can find protein sources in beans and all these other vegetables. Yes, you can. I'm not disagreeing that you can. It's just gram for gram, pound for pound, how many calories of those do you need to actually be the equivalent of the amount of protein you can get from just 3 to 6 ounces of standard meat, right? Now, if you
Yeah.
guys are vegetarians or vegans and you have a problem with the way they kill animals, I'm not against that. I get it. I'm not for killing a bunch of animals the way our country does, especially in the farm cattle industry where it's all just packed together animals and the way they're killed. I think that our country could do way better with that. I think that we could be a regenerative farm farming country, but there's no money in that, and the big corporations don't want that. They can't prepackage that and sell that. It's another big conversation we go into, but anyway, we got some more questions. What's another question, babe?
Okay, let's see here. We can do this one. So, walk me through an average day and what that looks like for you now.
Sure. Average day is going to be mostly lean red meat. I would say about 4 to 5 days a week, lean red meat, um, organic yogurt, and I'll put in some protein powder in there. I know I just talked about protein powder, but I get my protein powder from Heart and Soil, Paul Saladino. There's like 3 ingredients in there. I
The
think,
best protein powder I've ever had.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I can say I've tasted a lot of protein powder over the years, being from the football industry. Not football industry. I just grew up playing football, so they would load you with protein powders, right? And there are some protein powders that your stomach feels like crap after, right? This protein powder, it's so clean, and my stomach feels great after. Again, this is our subjective uh, experience. I'll put protein powder in, creatine, and some yogurt, some blueberries, antioxidants for your brain, strawberries, honey. Obviously, we love honey. There's great benefits from bee pollen and honey in there. Helps with allergies. I've had allergies a lot of my life, so honey. I believe honey has actually helped me with that. Plus, it's a good sweetener, right? Now, obviously, don't overconsume too many things, guys. Right? Honey still has sugar in there, and then we'll have vegetables, fruits, sweet potatoes, other types of potatoes. Um, we do like this snack, guys. Okay, where it's not like we're complete
Oh
reductionists.
yeah, don't get it twisted.
Like we will have your sorbet on the weekends, or not as much ice cream because dairy plus sugar is really a bad combination for us, at least. Like we like it once in a while, but we do feel the after effects of like, okay, it wasn't just the dairy, it was the sugar with that dairy, right? So, but we'll still have our snacks. We like our cookies. What's the snack? Oh, there's one person, Katie's Creation. We can give Katie's Creation a shout out. Katie's Creation is local to Massachusetts. She did our
She did
wedding.
our wedding, and if you were at a wedding,
Yeah, you know. That was just a display of all display. Brielle, you should actually have just like a picture right here. I hope
here's a picture.
there's a picture right here of the Katie's Creation of what she did. Just like masterpiece.
She did more than we asked.
Yeah. When we showed up, we looked at the table because she
Michael
came.
started getting teary eyed.
I did get a little teary eyed. It was amazing, like because we paid for a certain amount of desserts, and you walk in thinking that it's going to be a lot of desserts, but it was probably 50% more desserts than we paid for.
Our wedding cake, I wanted just one tier for us to cut into and then save the rest for the year later. She gave us two tiers, so the one we're gonna be cutting into at our 1 year anniversary is like bigger than my head. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? What?
Like
We have to share it. So if you guys want some,
she went above and beyond, and also the way she makes them. We know the ingredients. She tells about all the ingredients. She's like, yeah, I use sugar, but I use this kind of quality sugar. So I do think you can have a lifestyle. This is where I'm going with this. You can have a lifestyle where sweets are in there if you choose to have in there. Now, I'm going to have the caveat that I do believe sugar is one of the most dangerous substances in our country, right? That's just my hill I'm willing to die on because there's a lot of research about how sugar long term increases your chances of cancer, increases your chances of cardiovascular disease, and increases potential of dementia, right? So much long term health complications come from sugar. And I just think that's something that it'd be naive of us all to not think about if you're going to have some sweets. But you can still live a lifestyle where if you're eating 80 to 90% of the time good quality food and having that 10% of some tasty treats that you like, you can do it.
we know it's bad, but we want it anyways.
It's tasty. I'm not. Hey,
It's good.
I'm not saying it's not tasty. It's just you can't live a lifestyle where it's like 50-50. And I would say this is not to rag on your upbringing. I think a dessert every night after dinner is. I mean, that's if you guys were literally doing that, it's 365 days a year of a dessert. That's a crazy amount. That's just not like
Some days it was more than once.
that's a compounding interest. You're not going to win. You're not going to win compounding interest with that. In our household, it was like a once a week type thing that we did dessert. So
Well, I think that's more of a normal thing.
I think
So
if you're going to play the odds, you know, that's just what I look at it. It's like there's mathematical odds involved with your daily choices of food. If you're going to say that 365 days a year I'm going to ingest sugar, yeah.
Let me answer the question.
What was your question?
No, the question that I
Oh,
asked.
apologize. Yes.
So for me, in the mornings, I wake up and I have not, it depends on the day, but I usually like to do a protein shake before the gym, which is with the Heart and Soil protein powder. And I also use her package from Heart and Soil, and that's a bunch of like organ, liver, whatever pills that I put into the protein shake. Sometimes I'll put some zinc in there, banana and frozen blueberries. Mix that bad boy all the way up and drink it. Then I go to the gym, come back, and I have a true breakfast, which is usually eggs and avocado toast because I got to get that protein and fat in. And then I'll have some sauerkraut and maybe some fruit, depends on the day and how I'm feeling. For lunch, I do pretty much whatever Roman does. So unless it's like leftovers, but it's usually still protein. Sometimes, most of the time, it's ground beef. We eat a lot of ground beef in this house. And then we'll do a carb, and our favorite carb is sweet potato. Especially Roman loves sweet potato. That's his favorite thing. And then possibly a sometimes I for lunch I don't do any vegetable and sometimes I do. Roman is a whole other story. He has F pies. He can't have eggs and certain things, and we like to keep things one ingredient for him, which is pretty simple for our lifestyle right now. So it's like ground beef. Okay, maybe we'll put a little bit of marinara sauce on it just to make it, more interesting for him. But we still do sweet potatoes and then a fruit for him. Dinner, we do another protein. So a lot of the times we do steak or ground beef. Our favorite, like actual fun meal is spaghetti squash with marinara sauce and ground beef, and then we'll do maybe a vegetable like broccoli or something, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's a pretty simple lifestyle. If we have a snack, sometimes it's fruit. Sometimes I'll have like a little handful of dark chocolate chips, and sometimes I make protein ice cream. Not often, but that's kind of like a day to day thing. That's something that doesn't really change. Those things. Um, that's
It's your day to day.
the day to day.
Nice. Here, let me see that phone. I'm going to ask a question. All right. What do you want your child to inherit from how you live with habits, values, or anything specific?
Well, I think, like I was just saying a minute ago, with how, like, the simple eating, I feel like that is such a easy, attainable thing to do the one ingredient thing, and you can still make it delicious. And you understand and you know exactly what you're eating. So it's like not all of this extra processed food. It's just like this simple things. And also, we're doing this all together. So it's not like Roman's eating something separate from us. So we are teaching him, hey, we are all eating this food and it's good food. So I feel like that's a good example to give him. I also think we are doing our best. It's hard in the winter. And this doesn't necessarily have to do with like the food thing. It's more of just the wellness stuff, but it's less screen time. Even though, like, if I'm prepping dinner, I will put an old Disney movie on for him so he can just sit and like play on his own. Um, but we're doing our best too to like limit the screen time and be outside, especially in the summer. It's so beautiful here. Why not be outside? You know?
Yeah, if we're going to keep it within the health and wellness
Yeah.
one, even though screen time is a part of health and wellness, because right, it's part of your mental wellness. So within habits and values, I want first of all him to just have the freedom of awareness, right? And freedom from awareness does come from asking a lot of questions and having him be curious. He's not at an age yet. He's only 19 months. He's talking a lot, which is awesome.
Yeah.
when he's 3, when he's 4 years old, we're gonna be talking to him more about our food choices. And also, I plan to ask him, "Hey, do you want this?" Right? Because of maybe this will make you feel like this, right? And this food will make you feel like this. I want him to start to gain what is called autonomy, right, over his own choices. There's a difference between freedom and autonomy. Freedom is you can choose whatever you want, whenever you want, and just you can eat it all the time, right? Um, I think that's actually kind of a destructive behavior for most people, where they just like, I'm free to eat whatever I want, and you can see some of the results of our country, guys. We're a very obese country because we just there's so many options out there for food that you think you're free to eat it all the time. I want my son to have autonomy over his choices, where he's making the choice from a place of education, awareness, understanding that there are consequences and repercussions for some of your food choices. And that's the habits and the values that I want him to understand, because if he's just making choices where this tastes good, this makes me feel good, a lot of those food choices are very immediate gratification choices, right? The sugar makes me feel good now, but in a year from now, if I keep eating sugar every single day, what is my body going to look like? What is my mind going to feel like? So I want him to have the habits and values of awareness and autonomy when he makes those food choices. The specific foods that he eats, they're most likely going to be like ours, right? Because human beings are very social creatures. We're very tribal creatures where we eat what our parents and our friends are eating too. So he's most likely going to be hanging out with other family members and other friends of ours that are also eating similar food choices, because you just want to be around other people who are doing something similar to you in that behavior.
I also think giving him, like, to your point, just giving him the education and knowledge of what each thing could do to your body. For example, I'm sure in the future he'll be at a friend's house or something, and they might not eat the way that we do. And they might offer him something that he's never had before.
Yeah.
We want him to have at least a little bit of knowledge of what it is and what it could do to your body. Sure, it might taste good now, but it could be addictive or whatever, anything really. But I don't know. I think giving him the knowledge of, and like you said, the choice, being able to make those choices is really important.
Yeah, so we have to be able to speak from a place of awareness. And this is where I, for the past 7 years, with my health, and all of my food choices do come from a place of a lot of research. Brielle sometimes finds it annoying to some degree, and I don't blame her, because I get a little obsessive with the amount of research that I do. My purpose of saying this is I would rather have an excessive amount of knowledge for me to choose from, right? For me to understand, than just a small, narrow scope of knowledge, right? And I also like to ask a lot of questions to people that are way more knowledgeable and who are true experts of nutrition. Now, that's also going to be subjective too, because some people can be like, look at this research, look at this research. I get it. Research can be uh, corrupted and moved around at all times, right? So you have to figure out what works best for your mind and your body. So there is subjective truth along with objective truth in this. But for our son, for our future kids, for our family of generations, it is going to come around to how aware are we, how much research have we done, how much evidence can we show to our kids, right? Not prove, what can we present to them and then invite them in to make their own decisions. So that's what I hope to distill into our kids. What other
I
questions you
think
got?
I did it. I think I got it. Um, okay, this is more along the lines of personal development and what we do to kind of fill our cup in a sense. Um, and I think for me, I didn't think this was as important as I know it is now, being a mom, because before being a mom, I kind of just did things when I wanted to. Whereas now, my time, it needs to be a lot more structured. So when it comes to praying or writing my journal, reading, I do need to be more structured with that. And I choose usually to do it in the mornings before Roman wakes up and before I go to the gym, because it just is a nice time for me to have that quiet time where I can reflect on me, my mind, if I want to write lyrics to a song, things like that. That is a great time for me to have that quiet time and work on myself. So that's the question, is what do you do to kind of fill your cup, or when you do it?
What is the specific question? Because you just answer. You put your answer within the question.
What do you do to fill your cup, or yeah, for yourself, to help you through the day?
What do I do to fill my cup to help me through the day? Is
Yes.
that what it says? It's similar to what Brielle said then. Spiritually, I care to really fill that cup in the morning. And in my belief, it's because the Creator has allowed me and He's given me the gift of life again. Right? So when we go to sleep, when we wake up, none of us are promised today, none of us are promised tomorrow. And in our belief systems of our family, we believe that God gave us that day. So in the morning is when I want to connect to my Creator. Is when I like to step outside. I like to take in nature. I like to take in sunlight. It's also a good benefit of just taking in sunlight right away in your eyes. You're setting your circadian rhythm again. You're getting the serotonin in your eyes. It's a good boost in the morning. I like to walk with no phone. I like to listen to nature. I like to kind of collect my thoughts, but also see if I can quiet my thoughts the most and just start to listen for God's word, listen for the downloads. Then I will come back, meditate, pray, read the Bible, and from there I'm going into starting my workday mostly. This morning, Brielle and I did go to the gym at the same time, but I'd say most of the time I'm working on my business before I go to the gym, which is around 10 to 10:30. And so I'm doing things that can fill my spiritual cup so I can give to others, right? I'm in a business, if anyone doesn't know what my business is, where I help guide other people to understand themselves at a deeper level through understanding their language patterns. And a lot of that work is emotionally draining. And if anyone's who ever worked with me before, you know this, that it's allowing you to go deep into someone's lifestyle, into their choices. And so for me, that work I honor a lot. So I need to fill up my spiritual cup first before I start to help others, just to be there for other people. And I also want to be there for my family, right? Between Brielle and Roman, I need to be there as a husband, as a father. And so I need to make sure that I'm there for myself first so I can do those things for others. So those are some of the things I do during the day. And then there's just like, I have other techniques that I've developed over the years where I'll just check in with myself, right? If I get triggered, because I'm a human being, right? We all get triggered. If I get triggered, I have questions where I'll be like, hey, who are you choosing to be right now, Michael, right? Is this an old identity showing up or is this the new identity that you're moving towards, right? And that course corrects my thinking and my process. Now, I'm never perfect. She's probably the mirror that will let me know that I'm not perfect at all times, right? And I never claim to be. But I do think that our routines, individually and as a family, sets the framework for us to be the best version that we can be for ourselves as a couple, and then for our son and future children, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Let me ask you a question. How do you handle it when your choices don't match what other parents that we know or family members do?
Um, well, I think fortunately we haven't really fully ran into that problem. Well, at least I haven't, because I don't leave a lot. I don't leave the house very often. But obviously, our friends and our families, they have a different lifestyle, even if it's a little bit too different than how we live. And what's nice, though, I think with my family too, it's we're always learning, right? So either they're asking us questions on things that we've learned, or they're sharing things that they've learned or are implementing in their life. And I think it's a special thing that you can share with other people, and just your knowledge, and I mean, they can take it as they will. But when it comes to our children, I feel like we're going to have a standard different than other people sometimes. And I feel like that's okay as long as they understand, like I was saying before, they understand the why behind what we're doing. And they can ask questions to their friends, their family, and I don't know, like that's kind of where how I see it right now. We haven't really come into that situation yet.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the word handle. I guess it's just for me personally. This may sound a little blunt, but my choice is my choice. Your choice is your choice,
Exactly.
right? So it's just, hey, these are my choices. If you don't like my choices, that's where the word "my" is in there. Those are your choices. If you don't like, I'm not going to sit here and say your choices are good nor bad. So I don't expect you to say my choices are good or bad. When it comes to our son, we do have domain of what goes into the choices for our son. So sometimes, and I'll be very bluntly, sometimes with family members, we've had to say like, hey, we just don't want him to have this today, or that's not what he's going to eat. And if people are curious, we'll happily explain the why. But I do believe when we're parents and we say this is our son and what he's going to eat or not eat today, that is our choice and it falls into our choice, right? So that's just how I handle it. That might be a little more drawing the line in the sand, but I think everyone has their right and everyone should have the right to your own choice. So if people disagree, it just shows you like, hey, we all have our cup of tea in life and good for you and good for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And we're, like you said, we are, at the end of the day, we are the parents of our child. Just
Yeah, I
like
mean,
they are, people are the parents of their own children. So,
yeah, I mean, I got love for everyone who wants to choose whoever they want to do. And again, separated. So like these are our choices; those are your choices. If people are curious about our results, I think that's what does get this question for us a lot because Brielle and I are in, relatively right, subjectively, we're not fitness pros, but we're in relatively good shape, right? And we're always could be better. We're always aiming to be better, but physically we are in pretty good shape. And some of our friends and family members have asked us, and even my clients have asked me over the years, like, hey, what do you do in terms of workout routines, in terms of diet, in terms of things? So I just share what's worked for me. I do try to share it from a perspective of also research backed up things. But again, at the end of the day, it is my choice versus your choice. You just do what you want to do. We do what we want to do.
yeah.
All right, last question. This is for you. Then I'll answer after. If someone could only change one thing, what would you tell them to start with?
Ooh. I would overall start with the what you want. So, what do you want out of life? Do you want a healthier lifestyle? Do you want to look more fit or whatever it may be? What is it that you want? Because I feel like that is the start of the roadmap on your why, on the how, on all the things. You got to know what you want to be able to get what you want, if that makes sense. So, for example, for me, I wanted to feel better. Okay, well, what does that even mean? Well, I'm not eating very well. I at the time wasn't working out. I at the time was feeling so tired all the time. Well, how can I fix that? That can start your research. That can start your, changing the way that you eat. All of this other stuff, it's kind of like a ripple effect, but you got to know what you want. If you don't care to lose weight, you're not going to lose weight. But if you want and you know what you want, I feel like that's like the start of it all. So I feel like just getting clear on what you want.
Yeah, I like that answer. I mean, I think that's a great answer in terms of pretty much anything that you're focused on in your life. And specifically with health and wellness, you got to know what you want. So to Brielle's point, I think that's a great answer. I think I'll probably chunk down inside of her answer of once you get clear on what you want for health and food wellness specifically, examine your relationship with food and with health and wellness. Many of the things we do in our life are unconscious to us. So actually, if you could describe your relationship with food, describe your relationship with health, because some people are like, oh, I just eat what's ever there. I've always eaten this. Like if you hear the words like, well, we've always eaten this, that's a relationship based on just unconsciousness, right? So what I mean by that specifically, if it's just the way that you've always done something, that means you're really not aware of your choices or why you're doing something, right? So I would say examine the relationship that you have with food, with your food choices throughout the day, because a lot of them play into the factor for your energy. Food is energy, right? We get our energy from there. And if you're wondering why you don't have enough energy to do certain things, or if you're low on energy to achieve more in your business, to show up for your spouse, to show up for your kids in certain areas, then you should examine the relationship. Oh, actually, I'm not going to say should. I'm going to encourage you to examine your relationship with your food choices and overall just energy and health. I think if you were to take both of our suggestions between what Brielle said of knowing exactly what you want and then examining your relationship with that, you'll become way more clear and have more awareness around that. Something that's very important for us all, our relationship with food and our health.
It reminds me of that quote, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got. That reminds me of what you said. It's like, if you keep doing what you keep doing, then you're going to keep getting what you have always got.
Yeah, but if you're good with the results, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's true.
I think it has a lot to do with if you actually believe that your results or your current lifestyle is what you want or what you don't want. So that's why your answer was good about, hey, is this what you want? Lastly, with food and just health and overall wellness, a lot of it is psychological, right? So that's why I talked about your relationship with it. Our food and the food that we choose has a lot to do with the mind and how we believe about ourselves. And then also, what are we just asking from the food to give us in that state? So be aware that a lot of your food choices have to do with the way that you're thinking about what you need right now in the moment and who you are, and also what you identify with certain foods. I've had many conversations with people over the years who won't do a different food choice because they're like, oh, I'm not that person. I won't eat that way. That's a declaration of your identity, and that's a fixed belief. So just something also to consider with health and food.
Declaration.
What did I say? Declaration.
Declare it. You didn't. You said it did.
No.
Just
Declaration.
Yeah.
All right, to end it on, I think we'll probably put in some health experts that we like. All right, I'm gonna give a shout out again to Brad Clifford, Elevation Health. He's so well knowledgeable with food and optimizing your body. I'm gonna give him a verbal shout out, but we'll put other people in our comments and stuff like that we like over the years, because we're not fitness professionals. We follow from a lot of other people, so we encourage you to expand your knowledge of professionals out there. There's so many good resources out there. Watch some YouTube channels, right? 15 to 20 minutes per day on food and different people's perspectives can drastically change your life over, a whole year. So get out there and explore. Anything else, babe?
No, I don't think so. This is just how we live our life.
Yes. Next
La, la,
episode,
la, la.
we haven't decided yet we're going to be venturing into. We may do some more food or health and wellness. We may talk about some mindset, psychology things. I don't know.
Or we might talk about fashion.
I'm not going to be big on fashion, as you can tell. I'm sitting
Girl
in
stuff.
shorts. We're talking about fashion. Am I not going to be on that episode?
Fashion, girl stuff.
Apparently, I'm not going to be on the next
Makeup.
episode. So, if we do that.
Just kidding. I don't even know anything about
We
that.
talk about music.
Clearly.
Brielle's a great musician, so we can talk about that next episode. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys have watched this far, like I've been saying in the last few episodes, thank you so much. Really, we love you guys. We're so grateful that you're watching. And we hope that you enjoy this. Like it, subscribe it, all the good things so that you can see more, and so we know that we should make more of this.
Please put some comments too. Things you like, things that you want to hear more about.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah. Bye.
Honey.